Hello everyone and welcome to StudyIQ. In this video, we will start with the economic survey series. Before we move on to the content of the economic survey, I would like to clarify a few things about the economic survey. First of all, an aspirant should understand that economic survey is not concerned with the subject economics. Most of the aspirants will have a misunderstanding that economic survey, as the name suggests, it's something related to economics. No, it is a misunderstanding. So economic survey has nothing to do with the subject economics. It discusses about the economy as a whole. It will include not only economic issues, it will also discuss political issues, environmental issues, even international issues and the economy as a whole. So economic survey has nothing to do with the subject economics. This is the first clarity an aspirant must have. Secondly, economic survey is multidimensional. So as we said, it discusses about various issues, not only economic issues but political issues, international issues, environmental issues, social issues, etc. So this is multidimensional and it covers many dimensions. Another clarity I would like to bring is many aspirants will have a question whether it is enough to read the summary of the economic survey. Many coaching institutes are providing summary or gist of the economic survey. Whether it is enough that I go through the summary? No, I would say that it is necessary for a serious aspirant to go through the survey document itself. The government is providing the economic survey document and a serious aspirant should always go through the government document because there is nothing that you can avoid in a survey. So if you take any examinations can be either objective type or descriptive type. So especially when it comes to objective type examination where you will be given 4 options, it is very necessary that you should have a clear understanding of the economic survey so that you can pick the right choice. And coming to the descriptive type examinations, here also survey will help you a lot. So it is very necessary that you go through each and every line of the economic survey for better understanding. So in this series of videos, we are trying to go through each and everything that is given in the economic survey and bring in clarity with this document. So let us start. If you have seen the economic survey, this year you will see that the survey begins with 10 new facts on the Indian economy. So we also begin our lecture with discussing the 10 new facts on the Indian economy. Let us see what are the 10 new facts. The first one, there has been a large increase in registered indirect and direct taxpayers. So see here, the survey says that with regard to indirect and direct taxpayers, there has been an increase. So as we know, taxes are of 2 types, direct taxes and indirect taxes. So direct taxes are paid directly by the person and indirect taxes indirectly. So according to the survey, there has been an increase in the number of taxpayers, both in terms of direct and indirect, and the survey itself gives reasons for this. The survey says that a 50% increase in unique indirect taxpayers under the GST compared with the pre-GST system. So the first reason the survey provides is the introduction of GST. So we know that the GST was rolled out in the last financial year. So the first reason survey provides is that with the GST coming into the picture, the number of indirect taxpayers increased. So as we know, GST has subsumed all the indirect taxes and it has a direct impact on the number of indirect taxpayers. So according to the survey document, there has been a 50% increase in indirect taxpayers as compared to the pre-GST system. Again, coming to the second point, similarly, there has been an addition of about 1.8 million in individual income tax filers since November 2016. What does it mean? Individual income tax filers means direct taxpayers. We can say that this is an indirect impact of GST. So this is also an impact of GST but indirect impact. So according to the survey, with the GST coming into the picture, the number of taxpayers with regard to indirect as well as direct taxpayers has increased. So what does it mean? When the number of direct and indirect taxpayers increased, it means that the tax base of the economy has increased. When tax base of the economy increases, what does it mean? It means that the tax base has widened, or the revenue in the form of tax collection for the government has increased. So, with regard to the revenue of the government, the revenue from taxation has increased. So, this is the indicator. So, the first new fact the economic survey provides is that there has been a large increase in registered indirect and direct taxpayers, and this is a result of the rolling out of GST. This has increased the tax base and also increased the revenue for the government. And this is explained in both the figures, figure A and figure B. In the figure A, this has been with regard to the indirect taxpayers, and figure B is with regard to the direct taxpayers. So if we observe the figure, we will get more clarity. And now coming to the second new fact economic survey provides, it says that formal non-agricultural payroll is much greater than believed. So what is meant by formal non-agricultural payroll? It means that people who are employed in the formal sector and also in the non-agricultural sector. So this is with regard to non-agricultural sectors other than agricultural and also formal sector. It is commonly believed that in India, majority of people work in the informal sector or in the unorganized sector. So this is a common assumption, and whenever we talk about social issues, we always say that most of the employees in India or most of the workforce in India work in the informal sector or in the unorganized sector. But economic survey is putting some light into it, and according to the survey, there are two criteria which define formality of employment. Formality of employment means whether the employment is in the formal sector or in the informal sector. So formality is defined by the economic survey with two conditions. The first one is in terms of social security benefits. So if an employee is getting some social security benefits, the survey says that he works in the formal sector. So if a person is getting social security benefits from employment, he or she is considered to be in the formal sector of employment. And what is the second condition? Second one is with regard to the GST. If the employer pays GST or if the employer comes under the GST net, the workers under the employer or the employees under the employer are considered to be in the formal sector. So these are the two conditions provided by the economic survey, and let us see one by one. According to the first condition, that is whether the employee is getting any social security benefits, the survey says that more than 30% of the employees in India or workforce in India enjoy some social security benefits like the employees provident fund or health insurance or such kind of social security benefits. With regard to the social security benefits, the survey says that the percentage is more than 30. And secondly, coming to the GST net, the survey says that more than 50% has been defined under the formal sector when we consider the GST net, which means more than 50% of the employees work under those employers who pays GST or indirect taxes or who are under the GST net. So this is the data provided by the survey, and this data is in contradiction to what was already believed. So in India, as we already said, we had a belief that most of the workforce is in the informal sector, and survey is putting some light to it. Survey says that this is a false data, and actually this is the formality, or this is the data regarding the formality of employment in the economy. Now coming to the graph which is given below, the graph we will observe that defined by social security, that is employees who enjoy some social security benefits, they are 31%, and defined by tax net, that is employers who are paying the GST, they are 53%. So there are 53% of the workforce who work under the employers who pay the GST or come under the GST net. So the graph also provides a clear picture with regard to this. Now coming to the third fact. The third fact says that states' prosperity is correlated with their international and interstate trade. According to the survey, international trade and interstate trade plays a very important role with regard to a state's prosperity. The survey says that in those states where the volume of trade is high, whether it is international trade or interstate trade, the survey says that when the volume of trade is high, the prosperity of the state is also high. So there is a direct correlation between trade and prosperity. Here the survey says that states that export more internationally and trade more with other states, that is international trade and also interstate trade, tend to be richer, which means the prosperity will be higher in those states. But the correlation is stronger between prosperity and international trade. And when we compare interstate trade and international trade, where there is more international trade, there is more prosperity. And the survey itself provides an exception to it, that is the state of Kerala. The survey says that the state of Kerala is very prosperous, but not because of their international and interstate trade, but this is because of their foreign remittances. So this is the only state where there is an exception to this. But otherwise, if we look at the richer states or prosperous states, we will observe that the prosperity is because of their increased volume of trade. The fourth fact that the survey discusses is with regard to India's firm export structure is substantially more egalitarian than in other larger countries. It is with regard to the export structure of our country. So what does the survey say about the export structure? Survey says that we are more egalitarian. It means we are more equal. According to the survey, in case of developed countries, few firms account for majority of trade. So few firms are controlling majority of the trade in developed countries, and survey provides examples of countries like Brazil, Germany, Mexico, USA, etc. So survey says that in these countries, or survey is providing some examples of developed countries, and survey says that in those countries the trade or the international transactions or exports are majorly handled by a few firms. If we take the example of Brazil, the top 1% of the firms have been handling 72% of the total trade. With regard to Germany, 68% of the total trade is done by the top 1%. So with regard to the developed countries, the top 1% of the firms or a few firms are accountable for majority of the trade in those countries. But when it comes to India, the top 1% of Indian firms account for 38%. But here in developed countries, it is more percentage. So this is only 38% with regard to India. So we can say that in India, the trade structure or the export structure is more egalitarian or equal. Now coming to India's case, we will see that most of the exports in our country is done by MSMEs, that is marginal, small and medium entrepreneurs. So MSMEs handle majority of the trade in our country or exports in our country, which means that we are providing platform for everyone. Not only the top 1% of the firms are handling the whole of trade or majority of the trade or export in our country. And this data is discussed in the graph given below. Coming to the fifth fact, that is the clothing incentive package boosted exports of ready-made garments. So this fact is talking about some incentives, an incentive which has been provided to the export sector of the ready-made garments. This is a government provided incentive. So the survey says that the relief from embedded state taxes announced in 2016 boosted exports of ready-made garments by about 16%. What does this mean? Here the survey says that the government has provided an incentive, and this incentive has been provided to export of ready-made garments, and this sector was considered to be a weaker sector or a sector which was vulnerable and needed some government aid. So in this fact, the survey says that a government incentive can promote or boost the performance of weaker sections or weaker sectors of the economy. So this is the idea conveyed in this fact. One thing you should remember about the fact is that when government provides some incentive to some weaker sections, they will enjoy some benefits or subsidies. So here the government should make sure that those incentives or subsidies should not attract anti-dumping duties by other countries. Why? Because when government is providing some subsidies or incentives to some particular sector, the cost of production of those sectors will come down. So when the cost of production decreases, what will happen? The price also decreases. So this will have a competitive advantage. So with this competitive advantage, what will happen? The exports will increase because the price is less. So this will lead to other countries imposing anti-dumping duties. So when you export something to other countries on large scale and also at reduced prices, what will happen? Those goods will get flooded in the markets of other countries, which will not be favorable for the other countries, and those countries will impose anti-dumping duties. So government should make sure that the incentives or the subsidies should not cross a particular limit so that other countries will not impose anti-dumping duties on our goods. Next, and a very important fact the survey discusses is with regard to the SonMehta Preference that is existing in our economy. So as we said, survey is multidimensional. It discusses not only economic issues but also social issues, political issues, international issues, etc. So here this is a social issue. So the sixth fact about Indian economy is that Indian society exhibits strong SonMehta Preference. What is meant by SonMehta Preference? SonMehta Preference means that parents may choose to keep having children until they get the desired number of sons. So this is SonMehta Preference. So if parents want to have a particular number of sons, they will keep on having children till they acquire the particular number of sons. And as a result of this, skewed sex ratios are found, which means sex ratios that are not in balance. So as a result of this SonMehta Preference, what happens? Families where a son is born are more likely to stop having children than families where a girl child is born. So this will give rise to unwanted girls. So what is meant by unwanted girls? Girls whose parents wanted a boy but instead they had a girl child. So this will result in unwanted girls. So what will happen to this unwanted girls? They will get lesser resources in terms of education, health care, etc. So these girls are considered to be unwanted girls. Survey says that in India we have around 21 million unwanted girls. So this is a very important fact, and in the coming session in a chapter we will discuss on this fact about the SonMehta Preference, and this is very important. We should discuss this in detail, and in the following lectures we will be discussing this issue in detail. Coming to the seventh fact, that is, there is substantial avoidable litigation in the tax arena which government action could reduce. What does it mean? The government has to take more action in the tax arena, or with regard to the taxes, the government action should be increased. So let us see what is the explanation given in the survey. The tax department's petition are high, which means the petition rate is high, but the success rate in litigation is low. So number of petitions with regard to the taxes are high, but litigation rate or the legal action, litigation means the legal action that is taken. So petition rate high and legal action taken less. Also the survey says that there has been a large number of pending cases as well. So legal action or litigation takes a lot of time. It is a time consuming process, and also in India we see that the litigation process has not been very successful. So the survey suggests that, or survey provides the fact that if government action can be improved, litigation can be avoided to a particular extent. So this is the seventh fact that is given by the survey. Now if we observe the table that is given below, we will see that with regard to the direct tax cases, the petition rate in the Supreme Court has been 87%. Success rate is very less, that is 27%. Coming to the High Courts, 83% petition rate and 13% success rate. Coming to ITAT or CESTAT, the petition rate. Again coming to indirect tax cases, the success rate has been again very less compared to the petition rate. So survey says that the petition rates are high and success rate is less, which means litigation or legal action has proved to be not very successful. Where the legal action has proved to be not very successful, the government should take some action, and the survey suggests for more government action in the tax arena. Now coming to the 8th fact, that is to reignite growth, raising investment is more important than raising saving. So here the survey says that in order to improve growth, raising the investment is more important than raising or increasing the saving. So if we look at a fact in economics, if we consider economic growth in an economy, there are two important factors which will result in economic growth. One is the rate of investment and the second one is the rate of savings. Let us see how. Coming to investment, when there is more investment in the country, it will provide more output. So more output will also provide more employment. So this will increase the GDP of the country. Output will increase the GDP and employment will increase the per capita income. So this will add on to the growth of a country. And coming to savings. So more the saving means more capital formation. So more savings will lead to more capital formation. More capital formation will lead to more investment. And more investment again will lead to increase in output. And increase in output will generate more employment, leading to growth in an economy. So this is a relationship between growth and investment and growth and saving. And survey says that investment is more important than saving in an economy like India in order to ignite the growth. And as an explanation, survey says that cross-country experience shows that growth slowdowns are preceded by investment slowdowns but not necessarily by saving slowdown. What does it mean? So survey says that cross-country experiences or the other country experiences shows that where there has been a reduction in the investment, there has been reduction in growth as well. But this is not always the case with saving, which means whenever the saving has reduced, it is not necessary that the growth has also reduced. So it is necessary to increase the investment than increasing the savings. And one more concept you should understand here is the difference between an open economy and a closed economy. So as we know, India is an open economy. We are liberalized, privatized and also globalized. So in an open economy, there is always access for other countries. So there is always access to India for other countries. So investment from other countries can also increase in the form of FDI, FII, etc. So because all these options are available in an open economy like India, investment is more vital than savings. And this is the 8th fact the economic survey discusses about. Now coming to the 9th fact. The 9th fact is that on direct tax collections by Indian states and local governments are significantly lower than those of their counterparts in other federal countries. So here the survey is talking about the states and local governments and their revenue collection in the form of direct taxes. So as we all know, India is a federal country. So we have a federal structure. We have union at the top, we have states and also we have local government. So we have a 3-tiered structure. And under this 3-tiered structure, in our country, union has its own tax collection, states can have their own taxes and also local governments are also given authority on certain taxes. So 3 of the tiers or 3 levels have tax collections of different items. And the survey is discussing about the underutilization of the tax collections by the states as well as local governments. So survey says that with regard to India, the direct tax collections are significantly lower than other counterparts or than other countries which have a federal structure. So here survey is saying that the states and the local government, they are not collecting enough taxes or they are underutilizing their available tax resources or revenue resources. So this is what the survey is talking about in this fact. The survey says that this share is low relative to the direct taxation powers they actually have. Survey says that the state and the local governments has certain taxation powers. As we said, states can collect some taxes within their jurisdiction. Also, local governments have their own jurisdiction, but they are not actually utilizing or completely properly utilizing their taxation powers. This has led to underutilization. Survey says that if they properly utilize their taxation powers, their revenue will also increase. And this is a very important fact which need to be discussed in detail, which we will do later in this economic survey series. One whole chapter is dedicated for this, and we will discuss this issue in detail in that chapter. Coming to the 10th fact the survey provides. The 10th fact says that the footprint of climate change is evident and extreme weather adversely impacts the agricultural yield. So here the survey talks about climate change. So survey says that the climate change has been very extreme and it is badly affecting the agricultural yield. So as an explanation, survey says that the impact of weather is felt not with extreme temperature increases but also rainfall deficiencies, which means that the impact of climate change are multiple. One is there has been an increase in temperature. Extreme temperatures are being experienced, and secondly rainfall deficiencies, shortage of rainfall. So these are the two major impact of the climate change as discussed by the economic survey. And secondly, the survey says that this impact is twice as large in unirrigated areas as in irrigated ones. We know that in India, most of the agricultural land are unirrigated, and the survey says that if it is unirrigated land, the impact is double, which means that the Indian agricultural system or the Indian agricultural sector is badly affected due to the climate change because we mostly have unirrigated agricultural land. So this also will be discussed in detail.